Hey everyone, welcome to the Not a Lonely Coffee Break podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Meaghan. We're a podcast about coffee and work, but make it queer.
Oh, okay, Meaghan. So we are gonna dive right in because a lot has been going on. I feel like we record and we feel like we got a lot of good stuff, and then literally the next day something huge happens, and I'm like, Meaghan, did you see this?
Yeah, it's wild how that happens. I'm like, man, it's all right.
Everything that's been going on in the media just affirms to Meaghan and I that we are on the right track because we literally will talk about wanting to discuss something and then something happens where we're like, were they listening to us? So,
yeah, I mean,
where should we start?
I'll start it. No,
Okay.
so yeah, my favorite band on this planet is Coldplay. For the record. And when I saw everybody knows the astronomer thing, it's been a little bit since then. It was almost like overcooked, like how brought up. So if you're in the future and you're listening to a past episode, the astronomer CEO, can't think of his name at the moment, my apologies, but he was caught cheating on his spouse with a lady from HR, which is even more ironic. It's like you can't make this stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day we were like, wow, of course. So I think today we should really talk about workplace relationships.
No, yeah, so for sure, we had the viral Coldplay situation that occurred. But even before that, and this is really kind of past news, but we started thinking about wanting to talk about this because I follow the Dallas Wings, of course. Anyone who listens to the show knows that we are Dallas Wings fans. And so I kind of got sucked into some of the nonsense that was going on. And by nonsense, I mean it was a business move that many questioned. I guess backstory for people who don't follow the Dallas Wings. Before the season even started, made some trades, building their team, and they acquired two players, Dejanay Carrington and Nalissa Smith, who are together romantically. They met while they played together at Baylor in the college years, and then they previously played on separate teams. So then sort of the stars aligned and they were brought together to the Dallas Wings. And everyone was like, yay, this is so, they don't have to be long distance. Yay for them. Well, then, a little bit earlier in the summer, a few weeks ago, the Dallas Wings suddenly traded Nalissa Smith. And, that happens. Players get traded, whatever. But I started sort of looking into some other moves that were made. And the WNBA, these teams are businesses, right? So they make decisions based on what they feel like is best for business. So, Meaghan, there was some shady stuff going on, and it seems like the Dallas Wings kind of exploited the romantic relationship a little bit to get certain things. And when things were not happening the way they wanted it to, so Dejanay Carrington, they've been vocal about like that's who they wanted from the get-go. So they sort of added Nalissa Smith in as an incentive to bring her to the team to begin with. So then when maybe she wasn't performing the way that they wanted, or maybe making some statements online about whether or not she was happy with certain people, it was almost like a retaliation. So first they bench her and then they trade her romantic partner.
Mm-hmm.
And when she kind of continues to, she was injured, she's been injured for a while, she's just started playing again, but it's almost like they used the romantic relationship as like, oh, you're not doing what we want you to do, so we're gonna trade your safe person without any kind of thought into some of the emotional ramifications that this may have. So that was sort of the first thing that I was kind of thinking about, was like, romantic relationships in the workplace, pros and cons. But then this astronomer nonsense happened where we see a CEO engaged in some shenanigans with not just like an HR person, like the head of HR.
Yeah. Okay, because there's a few things here, right? Well, because for the Dallas Wings, they have two women who are talented. They have to make decisions based on talent and how well the team player or the team member is working with the manager or with the team or with the coach. Are they doing well? If they're not, they get traded, right? That's just sports, I think. I'm not a sports
Yeah, I mean,
for the
right.
record,
We have a business.
but
Our goal is to win.
our goal is to win, right?
Yeah,
Basic.
we want to do that.
But it does seem like they exploited their relationship in a way, right? I mean, on purpose. And now, like, by trading Smith, like, do they have any idea what's going to happen to Carrington? Like, has she
Well,
stayed in line? Did it work?
now there's talks that she potentially is requesting to be traded.
Really?
Uh-huh.
To
Things are
Vegas?
No, I think honestly, just based on how the season looks like it's happening, the Dallas Wings coach is who needs to be traded. He is the problem in all of this. But I think he really doesn't mesh with her. And so the rumors, at least right now, are that she's potentially requesting to be traded because there's just unhappiness. And it could be because she's like, look, I'm sick of y'all like retaliating against me for basically asking for better coaching. Like someone who's gonna take care of us and defend us when refs get it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, that's messy because, I mean, it was a risk for them to play on the same team, right? I'm sure that was a risk they
Yeah.
had to like put together. And then on top of that is like, it seems like there's like a lot of internal disorganization, it seems, of
Yeah, I think so.
like the leadership and so forth. But yeah, for to have your relationship while you're working, like working together with your spouse, right? Or with your partner, like that. I've actually worked in offices where their spouse worked in the same place. And I think for the experiences I've had, I think it's important that they do keep them separate. Like they're usually in different departments or like in different positions where they're not really directly being supervised by them and so forth. Yeah, because obviously that can bring some bad mix, but I have seen it work. I can't imagine what it would do to some relationships though, because that's also a risk for your relationship in general.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot that goes into it. And this is a good segue, I think, because I kind of was interested, like, is this common, right? Even after the astronomer thing, people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And I don't necessarily think that it was the workplace romance that everyone was upset about. It was the fact that it was an affair and the CEO and HR. It just didn't look good. But Sherm, they're a top sort of HR researcher company. They do a lot of resources for HR workers and things like that. So they actually have a report where they gather data on like romantic relationships in the workplace and romance in the workplace. And they found that 52% of US workers report that they have either been in or are currently in a workplace romance. And they sort of survey people from across different kind of industries, so it's not just one kind of industry. So I found that interesting.
Oh, that's a lot of people. Yeah, but I mean that's still a lot of people. First off, 52%. That's half of us, yo. And then secondly, we've said this before, like we're in our work for like 8-10 hours a day.
Right.
But the goal is to get paid. The goal is to have a safe work environment. And then once you get like romantic feelings involved, it just becomes, you can't function. I mean, I just can't imagine if you guys were directly working with each other or they were your supervisor, like you would be second guessing your steps all the time. So it is pretty taboo to start a relationship in the workplace. And then second off, there's a lot of workplace policies. You should, if you are thinking about starting a relationship at your work and you actually care about your career, I would look into HR. There are policies on relationships, I promise you that. But
I mean, here's
it's
the thing
pretty
though.
common.
It's not unheard of. Like, especially if your life sort of centers around your work, then that's also your sort of dating pool and your friendship pool. And like, that's where you are able to establish relationships. So I think, it's even though sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, and like clutching pearls about people who are in romantic relationships, I don't think it's that uncommon. I think a lot of people work with people they're married to, dating, whatever. But for me, I think just like you were saying, I think it absolutely has to be addressed. Sherm also talked a little bit about how the number isn't even accurate because oftentimes people don't report it. They just try to keep it like under wraps. Like no one needs to know, this isn't their business, which can create even more, I think, issues. But I do think that it has to be addressed if there isn't a policy in place about romance and work. And some people are kind of like, well, it's not their business, but it is when it comes into the workplace.
Yeah, especially if it's like y'all are physically with each other, or like,
Right.
you know, what does that look like as far as like, are you guys spending time with each other or are you working? You know,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, it's also very, so it kind of just depends. Well, it depends. First off, if you have a commitment to somebody, do not try and mess around at work. Highly don't recommend.
Right. Let's not look for
That's
new romance at
so
work.
we're not saying, yeah, like I want to make that clear as we're talking about that. We
are
yes,
not encouraging you to go out and have an affair.
52% of people, and it's not as like, but it, you know, there's a lot of people that are hiding it. Like you said, the data's not all going to be there because there's a lot of people who don't report their relationships to work. And then second off, like, you know, so there's just like sorts of different types of working relationships that are romantic. Either you could be, you know, married to them, or you could have a partner with them. Maybe you start your relationship in the work. You know, there's different levels, but dating subordinates is wild.
Yeah, that's so one of the top concerns that Sherm discovered that a lot of HR shares when it is that the notion of favoritism or unfair treatment. And it's like even just as like an employee, like someone who has heard rumors of certain people being together romantically, I know my initial thought is, well, they're going to play favorites because they are involved. So it might as well not, like, especially if it's like a manager employee situation and this person is a position where they're supervising the person they're in a relationship with, it just gets so messy. But yeah, if on 68% of HR professionals, like that's their biggest concern is how to address and how to create accountability and policies to prevent favoritism or unfair treatment. And then I also think that brings in the fact like, okay, you have this romantic relationship, everything is going fine, but what happens when it doesn't work out and there's a breakup?
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, do we see someone maybe retaliating towards someone else because they broke their hearts or anything like that? So there's also issues of harassment and just any kind of retaliation type of concerns that come up. And so I think it's important if you're going to allow it, because I know some workplaces are like, no, that's our rule is you cannot have a romantic involvement in the workplace. We don't allow it. But it's like, are you going to prevent people from like making googly eyes at each other?
Yeah.
How are you going to prevent the heart wants what the heart wants?
God.
But I do think you've got to be clear. You've got to have a policy in place to protect both parties from any kind of sort of retaliation. Because then, like, okay, you break up, and maybe it's a manager employee situation, and the employee is kind of like, oh, well, I don't want to work with them anymore, so I'm gonna make a harassment claim. So I think that having clear policies in place can protect both parties as well as the company, because then we can say this is what our policy is.
Yeah. It's just, it's such a human thing, right? It's like, I just find it's such a human thing that like we just can't, well, humans in general, people, they
We are
just can't keep
people.
their heads to themselves. Like,
Right.
just come on,
Keep
y'all.
your hands to yourself when you're at work.
Yeah, and I think another lesson should be learned is don't use company money to take this alleged person on a date.
Okay,
like,
so
did
yeah,
he own the box? Did astronomer own the box? I don't know.
So there's a lot of, even with this whole situation, there's a lot of information that's coming out that it's like, I don't know what's accurate, but I have seen that it was potentially that like somehow tickets were bought for like the company, and so it was like a company outing, but then some people are like, well, how was it a company thing when it was just the CEO and just HR? But then I've seen other things that say that there were other employees in this box. So I'm not 100% sure who all was present, but it does seem like the consensus is that the tickets were bought with company funds, which if other employees are not invited, we should not be doing this.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know that's a thing. Like, even in the nonprofit sector, I definitely have been to events before where, like, my organization had a set of tickets where anyone from the organization could sign up to use the tickets and go to this event. So I do know that that's a thing, but I don't know if that was the case with this particular thing.
But I think a special highlight is that he was hugging her from behind.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it's just like, it just brings too many questions to the integrity of these people.
Yeah. Well, and
I think that that's also is like, you could lose respect from people in your job.
yeah.
Maybe they don't like the person you're talking to.
Right.
It's just, I think it would.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, like, as we're talking about this, I'm even like, as I was like organizing my thoughts for this, I was kind of like, oh my gosh. Okay, so we have clear policies, we have like stuff about it in our employee handbook, all of this stuff. What happens though when it's HR that violates?
Who's going to investigate them? I mean, there's got to be an interim, right? Their deputy.
Like, so I think that is also the potential for some messiness, right? Like, what is the process, right?
I don't think they wrote that in.
Yeah. So for this situation, it was like the board, I guess, that said we're opening an investigation and blah 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 blah. And then both individuals did resign from the company. So it'll be interesting to see. And then of course we also have seen the news where supposedly, allegedly, I think his name is Andy, former CEO Andy, is allegedly going to be suing Coldplay now for emotional damage and distress because he was put on blast.
Sauce.
He was put on blast and went viral at a concert that, like, have you not been to a concert before? Jumbotrons are like a thing.
It's like, one, people love being on the Jumbotron, so do not get that taken away from us. Second off, play like stupid games, win stupid prizes. Like,
no one knew who this man was or what was happening if they had not reacted the way that they had reacted.
Yeah.
They could have just gone about their business.
Like, it may have just created like a local stir if somebody had noticed them, but obviously they had a suite full of people who didn't care that it was happening.
Nobody would have known who you were. Yeah. I think a lot of people were even like, astronomer? What's that?
Yeah. No, my sister, I don't want to put you on blast, sorry sister, but she was like, did you hear about that astronaut? No.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Shout out Meaghan's sister. We love you.
Yes.
Is it the sister that listens to the show?
Yes. So shout out sister.
Shout out
not
sister.
An astronaut.
No, astronomer is like a tech, like software
AI
type of company. And I only know that because of freelance work that I do within that industry. So I saw the name and was like, oh, I recognize this company. What's happening there? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So did you see Gwyneth Paltrow come out in response to this astronaut? That was wild. And then I don't understand what was her thought process,
Well, I don't know what astronomers' thought process was.
Like, trying to make light of it, I think.
it's a real full circle moment because Gwyneth Paltrow was previously married to Chris Martin.
And I think she also cheated on him.
I don't know. I've heard that, but some people have said that. But the only thing I know about them is that they were married and they have kids together, and then they did that conscious uncoupling thing. And
Yeah.
then he was in like an 8-year relationship with Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, that. But I think it was the timelines because she was dating like a billionaire or something when she
Who knows? But
it says there's no credible evidence. So
yeah, I think,
but the timelines were a little close for my comfort.
I mean, when it comes to celebrities though, like, and now apparently Katy Perry is into Justin Trudeau, the former prime minister of Canada.
Yes.
And she literally announced her breakup from what's his name?
Orlando. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
There's just a lot of movement.
none of this I feel like applies to celebrities. They operate in a different kind of romantic relationship.
They have a different rule book.
They have a different rule book that none of us should follow.
They definitely take dating coworkers to the next level.
They do. They do 1,000%.
It's a very strange how they come in and out of romances with their co-stars.
Yeah.
It is strange.
Yeah, no one has a romantic fling in a workplace quite like celebrities do.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, celebrities, for giving us everything we shouldn't do.
Yeah, the rule book for not to follow. And we got off on a way far tangent, but I think, there's a whole lot of different kinds of relationships in the workplace that I am looking forward to continuing to chat in future episodes. But I think romantic relationships is one that I think it's one of the more taboo kinds of relationships. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people tend to have a lot of opinions about whether or not it is okay for you to have a romantic relationship with someone that you work with. We should do a poll for that.
We should do a poll. If you're listening to this, participate in our poll. I don't care where you do it. I don't care if you're on Spotify. I don't care if you're on YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah, so let us know if it's just a yes or no. Just let us know if you think workplace romance is okay or not.
Yes or no. Check yes or no.
Yes or no. Check yes or no. Do you... And if you want to add more to that, feel free to leave us a comment. Absolutely. Like if you're like, well, I'm going to mark yes, but I also want to say this, feel free to include that.
So yeah, thank you for bringing this up, Maddie, because honestly, I think we should talk about other different types of relationships in the workplace, right? Like we talk about romantic relationships. We could talk about the relationships you have with your coworkers, with your boss, the relationship with yourself. No.
Oh, I love it. Yes. So important. No, it is important.
It is important. It is. I think this whole series, like this whole podcast is about the relationship with yourself. I think we should do like a little mini series.
Yeah, for sure. So we will continue talking about relationships. But I also, Meaghan, would be curious thinking about romantic relationships and, outlining, making sure that policies are clear, things like that. If any of you work in HR, we know that shout out our friend Alyssa from Do Good Books. Mm-hmm. We know that she has a background in HR, but I know there might be some of our other listeners who also currently work for HR, have a history with HR. I would be curious to hear from some of our listeners what your workplace's stance is on romantic relationships. Is it frowned upon? I mean, I don't know of any organizations that encourage it, but there are some organizations that are like, we don't care as long as you do XYZ. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And then other organizations are like, it is highly frowned upon to fraternize with each other romantically. So let us know. Send us an email, leave a comment. We would love some first-hand stories about romance in the workplace.
Yeah, we can keep you anonymous.
We'll keep it anonymous. We won't shout out any companies or names without permission, of course.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, I'm pretty much out of coffee.
As am I. Wow. As am I.
Good timing.
I know, perfect timing. Speaking of workplace work, I want to give a shout out to all of those teachers and educators that are gearing up to go back to school. The season is upon you.
Thanks for all you do, teachers.
Thanks for everything that you do and your continued motivation to getting up and going to decorate your classroom, to get ready for the back to school, whether you have been a teacher for many years or this is your first year. We wish you a happy a happy school year and hopefully like a lower stress season.
Yeah.
Stress is inevitable, but hopefully you are surrounded by coworkers who help minimize that stress. Yeah, it was a great chat today. And we once again want to remind everybody, if you are not already, make sure that you have hit that little bell button and you've subscribed so you never miss an episode. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify. If you're a Spotify fan, make sure that you have added us to your liked list so that way it just plays us automatically when there's a new episode for you. And you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, where we hope that you are listening to all of the episodes.
Join us, get updated, get active. Let's make a difference. No, so yeah, subscribe, follow, share us with your friends. We love a good share. And please don't forget to comment, or you can always send us an email at notalonelycoffeebreak@gmail.com.
Awesome. Head on over to Patreon if you want to hear us chat about some of the local political activities happening. But thanks for another great episode of Not a Lonely Coffee Break. Again, we are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Meaghan.
Cheers, queers.